Order. We come now to the main business and the debate on the address to Her Majesty in relation to the Diamond Jubilee. I call the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On her first address to the nation as Queen, Her Majesty pledged that throughout all her life and with all her heart, she would strive to be worthy of the people's trust. This she has achieved beyond question. The nation holds her in its heart, not just as the figurehead of an institution, but as an individual who served this country with unerring grace, dignity, and decency. The reign of Queen Elizabeth has been one of unparalleled change, from rationing through to the jet age, to the space age, to the digital age. At her first investiture as Queen, the very first decoration she presented was a Victoria Cross for heroism in the Korean War. Since then, members of the armed forces, her armed forces, have been in action all over the world, from Aden to the Falklands, the Gulf, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Around the world, dictatorships have died and democracies have been born. And across the old British Empire, a vibrant commonwealth of nations has expanded and flourished. Throughout this extraordinary change, the longest-lived monarch in our history has remained resolutely unchanged in her commitment and studious in her duties. It doesn't matter whether it is something we suspect she enjoys, like the Highland Games at Braemar, or things we suspect she might be less keen on, like spending New Year's Eve in the Millennium Dome. She never, ever falters. She has always done her duty, and this stability is essential for our national life. While the sands of culture shift and the tides of politics ebb and flow, Her Majesty has been a permanent anchor, bracing Britain against the storms, grounding us in certainty. And crucially, simultaneously, she has moved the monarchy forward. It has been said that the art of progress is to preserve order amid change and change amid order. And in this, the Queen is unparalleled. She has never shut the door on the future. Instead, she has led the way through it, ushering in the television cameras, opening up the royal collection and the palaces, hosting receptions and award ceremonies for every area of public life. It is easy now to take these things for granted, but we should remember that these were her initiatives. She was broadcasting to the nation every Christmas Day, 30 years before we let cameras into this house. In doing these things, she ended a 1,000-year distance that existed between British monarchs and their people. Indeed, while much of her life has been governed by tradition and protocol, the Queen has always taken a thoroughly pragmatic view of such matters. On arriving at one engagement in Scotland, she noticed that the local Lord Lieutenant was having considerable trouble extracting both himself and his sword from the official car in order to perform the introductions. While embarrassed civic dignitaries cleared their throats, the Queen cut straight through this seemingly insoluble ceremonial problem by walking up to the greeting line, hand outstretched with the words, "My Lord Lieutenant appears to be having difficulty in getting out of the car, so I better introduce myself. I'm the Queen." That human connection is a hallmark of her reign. Over 60 years, according to one royal biographer, she has met 4 million people in person. That is equivalent to the entire population of New Zealand. In terms of garden parties alone, she's invited some 2 million people to tea. She is, of course, Queen of 16 countries and has surely travelled more widely than any other head of state in history. As she herself has been heard to say, and it's a lesson perhaps for all of us in this house, I have to be seen to be believed. All this has given her remarkable insight. Like her previous 11 prime ministers, I've been struck by Her Majesty's perspective on world events. And like my predecessors, I'm truly grateful for the way she handles our national interests. Last year's visit to Ireland was a lesson in statecraft. It showed once again that the Queen can extend the hand of friendship like no other. She was the first monarch to visit China, the first to visit Russia, the first to pay a state visit to the Vatican. Her trip to post-apartheid South Africa was a statement that resounded across continents. And of course, there is the Commonwealth. It is doubtful whether this great alliance would ever have thrived without the dedication of Her Majesty. When the Queen became head of the Commonwealth in 1952, it had 8 members. Today, it has 54. No one has done more to promote this unique family of nations, spanning every continent, all the main religions, and nearly a third of the world's population. And in all her realms, from Tuvalu to Barbados, from Papua New Guinea to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, from Britain to Jamaica, she is loved because she is a queen for everyone, for each of us and for all of us. Yeah. The Diamond Jubilee gives us the chance to show our gratitude. By the time she opens the Olympics, the Queen's Jubilee Tour would have taken her and Prince Philip to every part of the United Kingdom. In June, London will see a huge pop concert, a great procession, and the largest gathering on the Thames for more than 3 centuries. Barges and cutters, narrow boats and motorboats, square riggers, naval vessels, the little ships of Dunkirk, all of them will be there to pay tribute to our magnificent Queen. Diamond is, I believe, the appropriate epithet for this Jubilee. For 60 years, Her Majesty has been a point of light in our national life, brilliant, enduring, and resilient. For that, she has the respect of this House and the enduring affection of all her people.
Order. The question is that an humble address be presented to Her Majesty. Mr. Ed Miliband.
Mr. Speaker, may I second the motion in the name of the Prime Minister and associate myself and my party entirely with the sentiments that he has just expressed. As the Prime Minister has so accurately described, Her Majesty the Queen has dedicated herself tirelessly and constantly to the people of our country and the Commonwealth for 60 years. Her Majesty has led an extraordinary life of service which sets an example to us all. And truly remarkable though her reign has been, what is striking is that it is in keeping with the reputation and spirit of the young Princess Elizabeth before she ascended to the throne. During the Second World War, her work with the Auxiliary Territorial Service gave inspiration and hope to millions, and especially to young women desperate to play their part while their loved ones were fighting at the front. And almost 65 years ago, as this House marked Her Majesty's wedding to the Duke of Edinburgh, Clement Attlee observed in this House that Princess Elizabeth was already celebrated across the globe for her unerring graciousness and understanding. Mr. Speaker, his words echo down the years, and we have learnt so much more about Her Majesty. Selfless, tireless in duty, unflinching in service, unerring in her commitment to the people of Britain, stoical in the face of personal loss, and proud, as the Prime Minister said, of the extraordinary reach of the monarchy and its values to the Commonwealth. With Prince Philip at her side, she has indeed shown the most extraordinary dedication to duty. And Mr. Speaker, when we tell each other her remarkable story, we speak too of the timeless characteristics of our country and all of the people who have served it. Her Majesty's life reminds us of the true value of service. And her reign is indeed a golden thread that links people within and across the generations. For the generation that emerged from the war itself, the coronation provided the opportunity to come together in celebration. There was often only one house on a street with a television set, and people crowded round to watch, sharing in community with one another. For our own generation, growing up, it was the Silver Jubilee in 1977. I remember being at Hyde Park as a 7-year-old as part of those celebrations. And then again, the Golden Jubilee on those glorious summer days in 2002. This year in June, it will be the next generation's turn to share the excitement. And Mr. Speaker, in these moments, we are reminded that we are far more than just disparate individuals and communities, but a nation with a shared sense of purpose and integrity. When we celebrated the Golden Jubilee, it fittingly became not only a celebration of the Queen's reign, but of the very best features of our country itself. Now, as the Prime Minister has said, across her 60 years, the Queen has witnessed an astonishing array of changes right across our society. Some of these changes have brought huge improvements to our lives. Others have been more challenging. On one occasion, I attended a meeting of the Privy Council shortly after Buckingham Palace had showed its commitment to fighting climate change by adopting energy-saving light bulbs. I believe I was the minister responsible. Unfortunately, the transition had not been entirely smooth because the light was pretty dim. In fact, it was almost dark. As Her Majesty valiantly struggled to read the names of the bills being passed, through the gloom, she caught my eye fixedly and remarked on the impact of these new bulbs. As Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, I did confess my responsibility, but I'm pleased to say she broke out into a smile. Her reaction showed once again her great capacity to put people at ease no matter what the circumstances. Whatever she has been confronted with, Her Majesty the Queen has responded with genuine spirit. It is that spirit that means the Queen is received with reverence, respect, and genuine affection wherever she travels in the world. And it is in respect of that spirit that we all come together to celebrate this year, the year of her Diamond Jubilee.
I call Sir Peter Tapsell the father of the house.
At the time of the last Diamond Jubilee, the father of the house was Charles Villiers. He'd started his distinguished political career in the Parliament of King William IV, had sat in this house continuously for 63 years, and was aged 95. Keep going. By comparison with him, Mr. Speaker, I am a mere parliamentary debutante. However, I vividly remember the fireworks which celebrated the Silver Jubilee of Her Majesty's grandfather, King George V, in 1935. The hit tune of the time was The Daring Young Man on the Flying Trapeze, a prophetically accurate description of Prince William today. Shortly before the debate on the Royal Address in 1897, Villiers sent Queen Victoria his personal gift as father of the house of a parasol. I've presumed to follow his example. His parasol was dressed in Chantilly lace. Mine has not been dressed in French lace. It's been dressed in Nottingham lace. From the city which first sent me to this place 53 years ago. For my generation, the abiding memory of our Queen is her stunning beauty when she came to the throne. There is nothing more inspiriting in the whole world than a beautiful woman. The bedrock of her success has been the Constitution. Not our Constitution, but hers. Because she's always had the most astonishing stamina. In 1953, accompanied, as always, by the indomitable Duke of Edinburgh, she travelled 53,000 miles. In 1977, the year of her Silver Jubilee, she travelled 56,000 miles. I once asked a courtier how she did it, to which I received the characteristic reply, by not eating salads, shellfish, and watermelon while travelling. The Queen's great-great-grandmother was Empress of India at a time when 1/4 of the globe was painted red. She has lived through years of worldwide and often revolutionary change. In the single year of 1960, 16 African countries achieved independence and became sovereign member states of the United Nations. What was to be the role of the Crown in this new world? Her Majesty saw the challenge and seized the opportunity. She made the monarchy mobile. In the second year of her reign, she delivered her Christmas message to Britain and the Commonwealth from New Zealand. Although always impeccably attentive to her duties in the United Kingdom, she threw herself with wholehearted energy and commitment into a new world role as the head of the Commonwealth. She has visited nearly every member of it, many of them tens of times, from the North Atlantic to the South Pacific. Since her visit to Tuvalu in the South Pacific, the levels of the seas around that threatened island have actually fallen. How jealous King Canute must be. Her Majesty has presided over 18 Commonwealth heads of government meetings. These have not always been plain sailing. In 1979, the choice of Lusaka as a venue was a matter of controversy. Zambia was surrounded at the time by warring countries, Mozambique, southern Rhodesia, and Angola. Some thought it was dangerous or politically unwise for her to go to Lusaka. Her Majesty made it publicly clear that whoever did or did not go, she was determined to be there. The Lusaka Conference was a great success. It was even widely reported that Her Majesty's only female Prime Minister in Britain had much enjoyed her foxtrot with Kenneth Kaunda. In a reign spanning 9 Prime Ministers and 12 Presidents of the United States, and notwithstanding her triumph among us here at home, I believe that future historians may record that the impetus and character she has uniquely given to the Commonwealth will be remembered as her greatest achievement. How fortunate we have been to be reigned over for 60 years by Our Lady of such poise, grace, and beauty. The exemplary daughter of an enchanting mother. I conclude, Mr. Speaker, by repeating the exquisite words of a poet and parliamentarian composed in honour of a Queen of Hearts of an earlier era, words that are absolutely true of our own beloved Queen. Tell me if she were not designed the eclipse and glory of her kind.